fervent their hatreds. Our posturings, our imagined self-importance, the delusion that we have some privileged position in the universe, are challenged by this point of pale light. Our planet is a lonely speck in the great enveloping cosmic dark.
From Roswell, New Mexico to the deepest parts of Siberia, Russia, there have been reports of extraterrestrial activity ranging from spacecraft crashes to alien abductions. Both Hollywood and the internet run wild with imagination on what or who is out there. Today we will be discussing extraterrestrial visits from Earth or to Earth in all ages and time. We will take a look at a few instances and discuss the possibilities. Like Agent Mulder's poster on the hit TV show The X-Files, I want to believe.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Chris. Welcome back to the Bigger Picture Podcast with my co-host here, Sean, aka The Seeker. Today we're going to be talking about everything from ETs, extraterrestrials, aliens, angels, spacemen, types of civilizations, their technologies, a little bit of SETI and the science behind it all, and personal experiences as well. Sean, do you want to start us off with a little bit about SETI?
SETI? Yeah. Actually, one of my biggest things about extraterrestrials and just intelligent life in itself kind of stemmed from when I was younger. There was a particular teacher that ran the science lab at my school, and he had all these computers with the SETI at Home program on it. And me being curious, I had to know what it was. And when I started researching it is when I actually started getting into kind of looking a little bit upward and outward and more into possible alien life or even extraterrestrials or just intelligent life in a sense. So for those of you that don't know what SETI is the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. It was put together in the 1980s. I believe it was 1983. It went public, I believe.
November.
Was it November of 1983?
1984.
84, okay. And so what they do is it's a collaborative group of scientists that essentially get their data together and allow each other to kind of cross-reference certain data to see if there actually is any intelligent life out there. So if anyone of you are familiar with the movie Contact, it's kind of loosely based on some of this material that's in SETI.
Movie.
Great movie. Love that movie. But what actually brought it to me was that SETI at Home. It's that little program that runs on your computer, and it's really cool. So obviously with all the data they have of all pretty much the entire universe that we can see right now, right? We have to crunch it somehow. We have to render, we have to compute, we have to do some type of computer work. The problem is computers are expensive, right?
Yeah.
So what the SETI at Home thing is, it's a little client that sits on your desktop, and when your screensaver activates, meaning when you're not using the computer, you're idle, it'll actually activate background computations, and it's all linked together. I think it's actually in the University of Berkeley, where there's a computer lab there that actually will let you go out or let the nodes go out for computation and then come back from these user computers all around the world. And
that's pretty cool.
That was kind of my first kind of introduction to this whole, I guess, alien world, right? Alien universe.
Essentially, yeah. Or multiverse, if you will.
What about you? Do you have anything? Was it like anything particular? Like, was it X-Files or was it just something you've always been interested in?
Well, I've always thought space was cool. It started for me, again, on a much similar note, very scientific note, kind of just thinking mostly about how big everything is.
Yeah,
and
just infinite.
Yeah, and just the feeling that you're overcome with when you think about how far away some things are. you know, like the whole story about the telescope being pointed at the Orion constellation for 11 days, because that's how fast it took the light from that area of the
crazy,
galaxy
right?
to get to us. And then you look at the speed of light, and you're like, oh my god, it's like 2,000 something, you know, 2,000 point, whatever the hell the term is, per second. Per second!
Yeah.
And then you try to do the math to figure out how far away it is, and a calculator cannot compute
It doesn't have the digits for it.
Yeah.
It can't go to that place.
And it's just mind-numbing. And that's where I started to get into.
That's when you have to start learning the powers. 10 to the 24 or whatever.
And then I'm thinking, you know, if everything's so big, like if the universe is infinitely expanding, or multiverse order is infinitely large, then there's infinite possibilities, and then there's got to be extraterrestrials. There's got to be alien life. It doesn't make sense for there not to be. Also, it's very egotistical to think that we're the center of the universe and the only thing, you know, only life here. But beyond that, there were definitely shows like The X-Files that helped pique my interest. Agent Mulder, longtime hero, always gonna be. Scully, different kind of hero, hot hero. Dana Scully, love you. Beyond that, more recent shows like Ancient Aliens, like that really mapped out a lot of things for me that I could relate to here on Earth. You know, monuments or just the wonders around the world that are unexplainable. As crazy as some of those gentlemen look, and it's hard to take them seriously at times, the information presented has definitely been a stepping stone towards my interest in all these otherworldly cosmic subjects.
Yeah, before we go on, I found the website that I wanted to display on here. What this is the SETI at Home kind of application. So it shows you how much is being done around the world, and how cool is this website where it actually shows you, like it's kind of like playing like dodgeball in a sense, or playing catch. So you can see over in the west coast of the United States where Berkeley is. That's kind of the epicenter where it is. But look at Europe. Europe's doing pretty good. Australia's there. South Africa, a little bit of Brazil, China, Japan.
I don't see any South Africa.
Oh, you'll see one. I just saw one. There it goes, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, see it? But for anyone that's actually interested in this, you could sign up. It's setiathome.berkeley.edu. You can go there, get the application. I don't know how much resource it takes. So if you're one of those people that are kind of power users and you want everything to be clean and tight, maybe not the thing for you. But it does run in the background when you're idle. And that's the key words, when you're idle. So it does set a screensaver as well. But SETI at Home, it's really cool. And when I learned about this was back in 1999, believe it or not. And I actually found out when I was doing the research for this, that actually came out in 1999. So that teacher, the one I was telling you about, he's the one that kind of introduced me to this, and he was right on his game, because 1999 was right when I was in his class. So good for him. I like him. He actually taught me a lot. He's a pretty cool guy.
Good teacher.
Yeah, for sure. So I have just a quick list. I wanted to get through this just because I wanted to have a basis of kind of a few things, kind of extraterrestrial, UFO related, and these are it's the top. Well, I wouldn't say it's the top. It's 5 very popular UFO sightings, and by popular, not necessarily most people seen it. Maybe just in media, and some people might have an idea of what this is. So
most information probably.
Yeah, that's probably true. So I just want to kind of run through these real quick. The Rendlesham Forest incident, that's the one in the UK. I'll kind of go through the story of that one. I do have a picture here I want to also show. See if I can zoom in a little bit. So this is the actual operation documentation from this incident. So this is a real thing. This is something that happened. It's been documented. So the story goes, there were these 2 Air Force guys, right? Or 2 Army guys that were kind of overlooking the airfield. And they started seeing these lights kind of go through like the forest, like in and out of the trees, just kind of like a bright white light. So then they decided, like, oh, we got to go check this out. Could be somebody trying to infiltrate the airfield. So as they start approaching it, they notice this kind of floating object. And they described it as almost like, if you think of like a pyramid that's upside down. And it's just kind of, it's hovering, it's about 3 feet big. It's hovering, probably a couple inches over the ground. And it looks like they said it looks like it's searching for something. It's going kind of back and forth, kind of scanning. So one of the guys says, I'm going to go up to it and see what the thing is about. So he starts walking up to it. It's not moving. It's not going away or whatever. It's still right there with him. So he goes up and he starts touching it. And as soon as he touches it, he said that all he could see was just like this vortex, and it was just numbers, just ones and zeros, binary. Just all he could see was that. It was like the Matrix, like kind of like where you just see the code, right? But he just saw ones and zeros, just over repeating, right? And then he got off of it, looked around, his buddy's gone. So his buddy says that he remembers seeing the guy touch the object, and as soon as he touched the object, he kind of woke up in a field, and the field was about 100 yards away.
So not the guy who touched the object.
The guy who touched it was still there.
But the other guy who didn't touch it woke up in the field. 100 yards away.
Yes. So the cool thing about it is they said that they both had watches on them, and each watch had a different time. But it kind of gets a little bit beyond this too as well, because the next day they go back, and that's what is in this document right here. It says the next day 3 depressions, 1.5 inch deep and 7 inches diameter were found where the object has been sighted. So there was something there, made a depression in the ground. And then it said later that night, a red sun-like light was seen through the trees. It moved about and pulsed in that same spot that was there. So there's a lot of reports, and a lot of skeptics say that there's a lighthouse nearby. But they actually went back to that field and back to that area where they were, and they tried to do tests to see if they could see the lighthouse, and they couldn't see the lighthouse. So whatever they saw, UFO or...
Sounds like a UFO to me.
Something, right?
Unidentified floating object.
Floating object, yeah. But it's really cool. Oh, here's another cool fact. Later on, he went back, it's like maybe 3-4 days later, he started opening a notebook, and he just started writing ones and zeros, because it was consuming his mind, essentially. He's trying to figure out what it is. And he wrote 5 pages of just ones and zeros over and over and over again. And then he said as soon as he finished it, out of his mind. Like, he could not even remember what it was. But he was repeating a pattern over and over and over again in his head. And
as soon as he wrote it down.
As soon as he wrote it down, it was done. So what's funny about it is, and this starts getting a little crazy, and I don't know how much I believe of this, but somebody took it and deciphered it. And I don't know how you decipher just a randomness of binary, because you have to kind of figure out where the stops are.
Yeah.
So somebody was trying to decipher it, and then one of the messages came back as like something, I can't remember what it was. It was like not like doomsday-ish, but it was like, look towards the light, you'll find water or something like that. It's almost like a sign or a signal. So it's really interesting. This is in Randlesham Forest in the UK. So if anyone's interested in that, you can definitely look into more of that. And being officially documented by the, armed forces, something happened, right?
Yeah, that's official.
It's got to be something.
It's about as official as it gets.
Right, exactly. I'm surprised they're not trying to cover it up. You want to do the next one?
Maybe this is part of the awakening process. Yeah, Battle of Los Angeles. I would say probably one of the most popular ones, at least in America.
This one's cool.
So we get a couple paragraphs here. I'll kind of just go through it, and feel free to interject, Sean, at any time.
Yeah, no problem.
February 1942. So this is during World War II.
Yep. This is actually only a few months after Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor was December of 1941.
True.
So we've already had an attack on our land, on our, not our continental 48.
On our western front,
right,
though.
Western front, yeah. The Japanese were a they needed to be checked, and they were coming after us for sure.
Yeah, my grandfather had all kinds of stories about that. He was in the Pacific, not in Pearl Harbor, but he has all kinds of had.
Yeah, I heard that was bad.
Yeah, all kinds of kamikaze stories.
Damn.
Crazy. So 1942, there was an unusual military attack. Pearl Harbor. Military units were instructed to prepare for Japanese raids. On the morning of the February 25th, an unidentified aircraft was spotted on the radar 120 miles west of Los Angeles and disappeared.
Yeah, we have a picture of that too, right here.
Pretty cool.
Like this is an actual genuine picture from 1942.
And can we zoom here at all?
You want me to enhance?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's going to get pixelated as
we
get close, but let's see if we can try to find some sort of... Yeah, see, there's so much light, you can't even...
Nah, but they're all looking at the same thing. That's what's interesting about this picture.
Yeah, and all the little lights around it.
I think that's the gunfire, the flak.
Oh, probably, yeah.
Anti-air. But if you actually look at it, there's multiple angles spanning probably several thousand feet, if not maybe, I don't know how bright these are, but it could even be miles. Or at least maybe a kilometer. But they're all pointing at the same object in the same area of space, meaning that there definitely was something there.
Yeah.
And some of the reports actually say that as they were shooting it, there was almost like a force field around it. Like they weren't actually hitting the object. Everything would explode like a couple
before hitting the object.
Yeah, like a couple meters in front of it.
So from there, the air raid sirens start going off. The city went into a blackout, as to avoid the light pollution. I'm sure.
Hence why we have this awesome photo.
Exactly. Yeah, you have these anti-aircraft lights shining all on the same particular object. So reports of unidentified flying objects, foreign aircrafts, and even airplane crash landings came pouring into local police departments. The chaos led to the death of at least 5 civilians from heart attacks. And car accidents, which obviously they're probably like...
Oh, yeah, no kidding. There was no seatbelts back then either.
Yeah. I'm sure from shrapnel from firing at the...
Yeah, they said that the city was heavily damaged from the shrapnel.
Which is... Can we just touch upon 5 civilians from heart attacks? Even if it was just 2 out of the 5, like, something freaked out these people enough that they had a heart attack.
Well, I was I just looked this up. Do you remember the War of the Worlds radio, the radio show that went out?
Yes,
it was a broadcast, and people were like panicking because they thought it was like news and they thought it was real. That happened in 1938. So this isn't that far removed from War of the Worlds. So, understandably, you could be very panicky.
Interesting.
That's only a few years after, and I'm sure everyone has, back then probably heard that it was fake, but maybe it was a cover-up. Obviously, it was fake because it's from H.G. Wells' book, but
my brain is going down a very crazy avenue of thought right now. So, coolest part of this Battle of Los Angeles was that it's later discovered that it's not from an enemy combatant. Like, it's totally unidentified. No one knows.
Nope, there was there was no, I wouldn't say that there was no non-American or non-military aircraft that wasn't ours recovered.
Yeah, and, it goes on to say that some governments, some of the government and newspapers were reporting that it was, at the same time they stated seeing balloons and aircraft and stuff, but, like, if all these people are shooting at this one object, I doubt it was a balloon. I doubt they thought it was a balloon.
And the fact that they can't... Either we have
they let
really
the
poor
sirens
aim...
go off, like, they made a big... That's like a bad practical joke if it's a balloon.
Well, some people thought it might have been like a Zeppelin. But I don't think Zeppelins were meant for war like that. Right? And they're huge. You would definitely see a Zeppelin and knock it down out of the air.
Yes, and
they're slow.
You can hear a Zeppelin too, can't you? Like,
Not really, no, because they only have 2 propellers. They're actually pretty quiet. It's like the submarine of the sky.
The submarine of the sky.
That doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I don't know. That one's.
But that totally.
Again, this is another military, like. This is something the military has seen. There's a photograph of it. This is from a news photographer. The photograph is from a news photographer. These are military operators behind the lights and behind the guns, and they all saw something from different angles at the exact same height, at the exact same space in time, right? So there was obviously an object there, whether it was some alien aircraft, extraterrestrial, Zeppelin, who knows?
But that kind of, I mean, the fact that things were exploding before hitting the object kind of
this kind of worries me. Like, you know the movie Independence Day?
Yeah.
So obviously in the movie, we try to portray ourselves as benevolent beings, where we try to contact them before we essentially try to do anything. But in the movie, I don't know if you remember, they had like the flashing lights, and then they sent out the missile. Yeah, imagine that was like this. Imagine this was like Independence Day. Like there's like some craft or whatever from some other planet or from another universe or whatever, right? Comes in,
tries to contact us,
and we just start shooting at it. Like, holy shit, these pink monkeys are crazy.
And stupid.
Yeah, exactly, right? They're probably just laughing at us with their force fields. But,
let's move on to the next one.
Yeah. Another one, which is also has to do with a little bit of the U.S. government.
Not too many years later, either.
Nope, this was 1952. This was the air traffic controllers at the Ronald Reagan National Airport detected movement in the air that was actually going over Washington, D.C. And there's another photo done by journalists, is this one right here, of whatever objects there are flying over the Capitol. And if anybody knows anything about, Washington, D.C., it's probably the most heavily guarded area in the earth, right? There's got to be, you could probably scramble jets within 1 minute and have something up there. And they actually did. They did scramble up a couple of jets. But every time they went up, they didn't see anything. When the jets came back, they reappeared. It was almost like playing like a cat and mouse with the Air Force. Again, nobody really knows what it is. Some people attribute it to some meteorological phenomenon. Which, if you would have scrambled jets, I could understand that you wouldn't necessarily see it from the sky. If it was like ball lightning, or maybe from a different perspective, you might not be able to see it. But it did reappear a couple days later, too. I believe it was like, I think it was like on like a Friday or whatever, and then like the next following Monday, like somebody saw him again. But, photographic evidence of something, the Air Force didn't necessarily see it, but they identified that they were chasing after something because they found something on radar. So it's a little bit different than the other one where the Battle of Los Angeles is they didn't detect anything on radar, however they saw it in the sky. So, I don't know, it's very interesting.
Yeah, to calm anxiety and slow the reports of UFO sightings that were interfering with emergency calls, the Air Force held the largest press conference since World War II at the time, and to address the odd activity, which they attributed to the stars, meteors, and meteorological phenomena such as temperature inversions that could... fucking whatever.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
Government cover-up.
Okay. Stay stupid. Stay stupid. Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Even still, like, there's always that argument of, should the government tell the population that there actually is something or not? Like, would there be mass panic, or would the population just be like, well, yeah, no shit?
I can understand the...
I think at that point in time,
process of, like,
now it's
they're not
like,
going to be able to handle it, they're not going to be able to handle it, but, like, it's 2018 now, and I think the people should, be able to decide for themselves, like, if you can't handle it, then maybe this is part of the, weeding out the bad ones process. Like,
could be, yeah. You want to go on to the next one?
Dogs have a lot to say about this topic.
I'm going to go check on them real quick. Do the next one.
All right, so we got the Belgian UFO wave. Now, this is the longest-lasting series of reported UFO sightings that were in Belgium, November 1989, ended in the following April. So around 13,500 people. Again, in November 1989, so 1 month, claimed to witness seeing large triangular flying objects hovering low in the sky. Which, we'll pull up a picture as soon as the dogs are attended to. But if you're into any of this stuff, you've probably seen a similar picture to what is being described here. Triangular-shaped UFO. Kind of looks like a Star Destroyer, not really. For all the Star Wars fans.
Star Destroyer would be cool.
But the following in spring, in 1990, military fighter pilots investigated and pursued some of the unidentifiable objects, but the objects flew out of range before the pilots could observe anything further. So clearly a technology beyond ours. It was written off as harmless mystery and remains one of the largest alleged UFO sightings in history. So about 13,500 people all claiming to see these objects in the span of... Sightings in Belgium began in November and ended. Okay, so more than a month. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I got a little excited there. So a few months, but still, that's a ton of people.
I mean, and the fact that, again, somebody saw something, right? And they scrambled jets. You don't just scramble jets for the hell of it.
Yeah.
That shit's expensive, and it causes a little bit of panic, too. When you start seeing fighter jets up in the sky, you're like, oh, shit, something's going down. It's not a... other than maybe in America where we do our flyovers of football games and shit like that, right? Actually,
which isn't nearly as cool.
I do actually have a personal experience for kind of like a UFO. There's we live in Massachusetts. We're probably 15 miles from Foxborough, which is the home of the Patriots.
Yeah.
They did a flyover, and I remember being in the house. I think I was getting ready for the game or whatever, preparing in the kitchen because I was upstairs. And then all of a sudden I just heard this low, like, rumbling. I'm like, what is that sound? And it sounded like it's coming from outside. So I walked out on the deck. And then from behind me, all of a sudden I just look straight up. And I just see this massive black triangle just flies over. It was a stealth bomber. And holy shit. I would be lying if I didn't say I just literally just fucking froze right there. And I was like, this is the freakiest fucking thing I ever saw. And I knew what it was.
Yeah.
Now imagine not knowing what the hell that was.
Well, the stealth bomber, yeah. I mean,
it's a weird looking... It's completely flat on the bottom. It's so weird looking.
Yeah, it's extremely flat.
Yes.
There's no propellers. There's no, like, visible, even, like, engines.
Nothing. You can't like, from my perspective, I saw it, like, it almost felt like I could touch it, like, how close it was. It was like, it felt like it was just over the trees. And they just came over a flyover from Foxborough. And it was so low, and, like, when I say it was so large, it was longer than the house, so, like, from my perspective...
massive.
It felt like it was this massive, massive thing, but they're only, like, wingspan of, like, 100 feet or something like that.
Which is...
It's big.
Big.
It's big, but when I saw this thing, it felt like it was so close. And you see this thing in the sky, like, your brain doesn't automatically go, yeah, that thing can fly. Because it doesn't look like that.
Yeah, it almost looks like a boomerang.
Yes, yeah. Like this, your brain looks at it and goes, that doesn't work. Like the heuristics that are built into our head right now. And it was just one of those things where I could see mass paranoia if there's like objects like that, because I knew what it was. It took me a second to process this. Oh yeah, this came from the football game. I'm literally just about to sit down and watch it. It took me a second to process why the hell it was there and kind of figured it out.
But I'm sure that the triangular objects that they were describing weren't...
They weren't... No.
They look different than that.
Yeah.
They probably look similar to, like, again, the Star Destroyer type looking...
Yes, yeah.
Like,
but seeing that stealth bomber, geez, that B-2, that is a cool looking plane.
Oh, it's a very cool looking plane.
I'm
well,
glad.
There's theory that they got a lot of that stealth technology from...
Roswell.
Yeah.
Which is funny because we don't have Roswell on this list. I omitted it on purpose because it's so talked about.
That's the most popular one.
Yeah, exactly.
Be.
There's no point in covering it. Everybody knows what it is. But do you actually think the Battle of Los Angeles... Because Roswell is the 1930s, right?
Yep.
Do you think the Battle of Los Angeles could have been recovered alien technology from Roswell?
Recover...
Meaning, because the Roswell crash...
Oh, and then
officials
someone was
collected
testing something,
rebuilt it, re-engineered it, tested it out, and then from there maybe that's how we got our stealth technology.
Totally possible. I would, because all right, let's think like the military real quick to touch upon this.
Yes.
If an alien UFO, not from Earth, crashed in your country, on your, property, whatever, you are going to immediately, into interplanetary travel, like, they have crazy technology. You're immediately going to start be like, all right, we need a team deciphering this, we need a team dissecting this technology, using it, trying to learn it, trying to duplicate it immediately. 20 years? From the Battle of Los Angeles to the from the Roswell incident to the Battle of Los Angeles, that's ample time.
20 years, nah. That's like 12. When was Roswell? 1930, right? Or I'll look it up real quick.
All right, fuck it. Let's just say 10 years. 10 years. Forget the exact number. I don't care. 10 years. That is so much time for the military to produce some sort of craft using the technology that they found at the beginning of that 10-year span. That's so much time.
Oh, I lied. Roswell was 1947.
Okay, 5 years. It doesn't matter. The military progresses, their technology progresses exponentially faster than ours.
Well, the Battle of Los Angeles predates Roswell. I thought Roswell was the 30s. Man, I don't know. My memory's messed up.
Well, here's again, we were talking before we started today about the problem with the internet being saturated with BS. There's a lot of information out there that isn't right. And I'm sure a lot of the Roswell shit is inaccurate too. I've heard theories that...
well, everyone always adds their little... It's like telephone,
Totally. But I've heard theories that the whole reason everyone knows about Roswell being in New Mexico is because it's not in New Mexico. They're just trying to divert your attention somewhere else, and it's really in
a secondary. Yeah, there's a secondary crash. I heard the secondary crash theory before.
Let's keep going here, though.
Yeah. There was a. I found this list too. This is on Wikipedia. It's all the documented, reported UFO sightings. There's so many in here. I just kind of cherry picked a few that I recognized just from stories you heard, from childhood. But what's interesting about this list is it's in chronological order, and if you actually want to keep going, I'm gonna have to fast scroll up here. Look at this. So we have
Did I just see
9th century, 8th century,
776. That's
the
date.
Yeah.
That's the year.
Let me scroll up a little bit. How about this?
Before Christ. Wow.
Classical, right? Wait, I can scroll up. 2nd millennium BC.
Fiery discs. City, Lower Egypt. According to the disputed Tula papyrus, the scribes of the pharaoh reported that fiery discs were encountered floating over the skies.
Right, and if you also notice, look at the the name. So fiery discs. Look at the next one. Ready? Torch in the sky, ships in the sky, flame light in the sky, signs in the sky during siege. I don't know what signs mean, but this is a bright light, angel hair, flaming shields. So
yep, flaming shields is another.
What's interesting about this is they all have very similar descriptions based on where they live, essentially what was around them. So a lot of people said either flames or ships or shields. The funny thing about the shields is that was in where? France. So obviously they carried shields all the time, so that's something that was similar to them. So, I don't know, just an interesting thing. That's just on Wikipedia. I just typed in a list of reported UFO sightings to find it. So you could definitely go on Wikipedia, look through the list. These are all on there. That's where I got this information from. Most of it is pretty documented based on the reason why I picked some of these were most of them are part of the military in some way, some form. Either they scramble jets, have documentation, or physically seen it for themselves. And you actually came up with a point. Did you talk about the Foo Fighters yet?
No.
You told me about that earlier today.
This wasn't listed. So another World War II, so same kind of era, or decade, or whatever, if you will. Over Berlin, I think it was, specifically, the U.S., the Allied forces are fighting the Germans. They're doing an air raid, and the Germans are firing back, and a lot of pilots reported having bright lights or flying objects following their planes, but also reported that the Germans were firing what they were calling Foo Fighters at them, which were just basically like bright, like disc-like shapes, like being fired from the ground, that when they would hit one of their aircraft, the aircraft would just lose power entirely. Like you couldn't eject.
Yes.
You couldn't eject. You couldn't do anything. Like you just fall to your death.
Yeah, and we have a picture up right now, so you can see like where the arrows are pointing these objects, and then in the lower photos, you see these, I don't know, like spheres, I guess, and then on the first two photos looks like spheres. The last one kind of looks more disc-like, but that could just be distortion of the lens.
Yeah.
But they were shooting at something, and that was also another thing that was also recorded. I didn't actually know about this. You're the one that told me about this earlier today.
Pretty cool. Because also there's reports that the German scientists had been experimenting with mercury and trying to weaponize it, which has properties, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not a scientist, that are known to affect electricity and stuff like that, which would make sense if it's hitting the plane and sort of almost taking the charge or the electricity out of it and absorbing it into the mercury or something. Like I don't know.
Mercury bombs, like they shoot up
I don't know, but super interesting stuff. And I think that's where the band probably got their name, the Foo Fighters. But if I can pull this off really quick here.
And I was thinking about this earlier today too when you told me about it, saying like, what are all these little objects? Like, could they actually be like spacecraft? And I kind of thought, I was like, well, what if they're like little drones, like from a spacecraft, where the drone will kind of go down and records like human history, or maybe World War II has such a profound impact on Earth that it kind of sent out almost like a cosmic like SOS, like there's some shit going down on Earth and this is what we're doing, and whoever's documenting this or whoever maybe is within the galaxy that can actually see us, maybe they sent these little drones to kind of, you know, document and keep up to see what we're doing, see if we're trying to get out into the outer space or if we're a threat. Right? It always comes back down to aliens being a threat.
Well, you know, I'm sure there's benevolent aliens and malicious aliens, or malevolent.
Well, if they're anything like us, let's be honest, we conquer. That's in our nature right now. Our human nature is to conquer, and the way we're looking at space is like the whole space race thing with Russia and the U.S. It was like whoever got to space first got to control Earth, essentially, right? Yeah. So technically, we don't control Earth. We don't have, we can't push out Russia. They're still there, but we still have that mentality of I'm going to get this for myself or I'm going to get this for my group, rather than let's go out and see what else is out there and share together. Let's bring our resources. Maybe we have an abundance of water that, if we could desalinate, ocean water and then I'll give it to another nation, maybe they can give us something in return that is highly valuable to us. But I feel like if we were to go into outer space, like if we were going to Mars, we're going to Mars to colonize.
Of course, yeah.
Right. If we're going to put people there, we're going to colonize it.
I think that gets back into the greed.
Right.
Gene.
We're taking it over. How many times have you seen articles where they say the first trillionaire is going to be the first company that's able to mine asteroids, right? The first trillionaire. Like, why not mine asteroids and become the person that provides whatever to whoever, right? Why become who needs $1 trillion?
Because men have egos.
Exactly, right? So a lot of it comes down to that, where I think when we perceive a UFO, or is it like an alien attack, or is it something like that, do we perceive them as how we would perceive ourselves? Are we looking in the mirror saying, holy shit, this is an actual threat, they're coming to take Earth? Scramble the jets, right?
Well, I think that's part of the reason why, the military doesn't say anything about it, is because they probably don't have all the answers. I mean, who knows what we're talking here? And this kind of segues into a next topic that we're going to get into today. But, who knows how many different kinds of aliens are out there? Who knows what they look like? Some theorize that some of them look like us. And if those that look like us aren't the good ones, that could pose a tremendous threat to mankind. You know what I mean? Like, because I could be one. You could be one. Anyone around us could be one. And I think that's where a lot of the worry and fear comes from the military side, and like thinking from a military mindset, like a person, like a citizen or a pedestrian is probably going to think like that too. Like, well, aliens, like, oh my, they look like us, like. That would be terrifying to a small-minded person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you'd have no idea.
Exactly. And the unknown.
That's a lot to do with it too. Is the part of the danger is the unknown, right?
Yeah.
When you don't know something, you fear it. That's typically how we grew up as a society. Meaning from the very early civilizations, is we didn't know about a lot of things. Therefore, we kind of made a story or a myth around it. And the unknown became the thing that kind of checked us, like religion, right? So having that, like, behave or else mentality there, it's kind of the similar way, where if there were aliens among us and they looked exactly like us, there's no way of ever knowing, and then that unknown is what is scary about it.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, this is helping us segue into the next topic that we're getting into, which is list of alien races. Now these
are awesome.
Yeah, we did some research on this, and it's a little much.
So again, Wikipedia has provided us with some entertainment. I'm actually surprised this is even an entry, and I'm surprised nobody has tried to delete this. But there is a list of alleged extraterrestrial beings. And some of them are just kind of cool looking, like the Flatwoods Monster, tall humanoid with a spade-shaped head. And this image of this, like, it kind of looks like a fat guy in a Ku Klux Klan hat. Right?
Or like a really overweight Jawa.
Yeah, exactly. This is artist's interpretation of Flatwoods Monster, which is supposed to be extraterrestrial sighting of the 1950s. Human is shown to give an idea of relative size. So obviously these would be much larger, probably like 7, 8 foot. I would assume that male is probably like a 6 foot male, or maybe even 5'8", which is I think the average right now. So that would probably be like a 7 foot male, right? With that height, and then weight wise, they obviously look much like, obviously we don't know how
dense they are.
But yeah. But there's some other ones like the Greys. Everyone knows who the Greys are. These are the pretty much the Hollywood alien right now, right?
Right now, I mean.
Well, not right now. Pretty much the Hollywood alien.
Yeah.
Period.
90% of people, when you say the word alien, are gonna think of that.
The Greys. These are the small little beings that have gray skin, which they get their name from. With the big eyes, they had usually no nose. Usually it's just like little slits. No ears, no genitalia. Right? That's like the typical description of these. There's no interesting too. Their arms are much longer than what would be on a human, if of a human that size, or maybe their fingers are longer. So the next one is the Hopkinsville Goblin. Have you ever even heard of this?
No.
The Hopkinsville Goblin. See, I was wondering if this has anything to do with there was, I believe in West Virginia, there's also or it might have even been Maryland. It was the Mothman stories, and the look of kind of the ears, or I don't know what that could be. That looks like ears on this. The ears kind of look moth-like, and I'm wondering if that's kind of the similar one. But a lot of these show that they're always hovering, like they fly or they're able to move without walking. So I've never heard of this one either. This other one is the Little Green Man. These are the mostly from like the early on, like the 1950s, 60s. Some of them actually were thought to be like the Martians. The Martians were thought to be little green men. These are like essentially 2.5 to 3 foot size small beings, similar to the Greys that have antennae, but obviously green, not gray. And then these are the Nordic race, where obviously looks exactly like a human. Much taller though. This is a lot to do with the sightings of like almost like Norse mythology, where they had like beings like Thor with the long blonde hair, very big, very tall. So a lot of that has that similar to it. That's why they have that Nordic alien designation, where they're very tall, very broad, very big, but humanoid, very human-like, Homo sapien-like, I should say. Which is interesting because they also say if there was a human born on Mars, they're more likely to be very tall but very slender because of the amount of gravity that's on Mars is a lot less. So therefore, when we grow, our genetics are made for Earth, for one Earth gravity, where our bodies will grow specified based on that. So if you put yourself into a low gravity situation, like something like Mars, you will actually end up being taller because you don't have to support as much weight. Your legs don't have to have that 1G, which is interesting because a lot of people say that, yeah, these beings come from a smaller planet or a planet that has less mass, therefore they're bigger. And then we also have the reptilian alien, which is the last one on the Wikipedia page. This is a lot to do with what's that religion that has to do with the lizard men? Do you know what I'm talking about? It's not.
I'm not familiar.
Is it Scientology?
Lizard men?
Yeah, is it Scientology that have
Fuck, I hope
the
not.
lizard men? I'm wondering if that's where this is coming from.
I'm more intrigued by the reptilian race because of all the Asian culture, dragons, and a lot of reptile-like lore in Asian.
Yeah, India has something like that too.
That's true.
Which is also Asian, but
yeah,
not Asian like in the.
But very just
East
a
Asia.
neighbor. You know what I mean? Like right next door. Very interesting to me, and also a couple more facts on reptilians. Apparently, according to myth, reptilians are able to assume different shapes and essentially shapeshift.
Yeah. Shapeshift into humans.
Yeah. Yes. Or something. You know what I mean? Or maybe a gray alien or whatever. Which, if we think scientifically, let's think of a chameleon.
Scientifically or Scientology?
No, don't do that, Sean.
But that is part of it. I'm on.
I told you we're not having Tom on the show, okay?
But he really wants to come on.
I don't
All right.
care. We're not having him on the show.
Then you tell him. I'm not.
Unless he
I'm not
comes
gonna break his
here
heart.
as Ace.
Yeah. Problem is, every time he comes over, he keeps breaking my couch. Bastard.
Dick. Anyway, you think he could replace it, millionaire?
No, he donates all his money to Scientology.
Okay, scientifically, chameleon, that gene that they're able to just blend into their background like that. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of octopi, I should say,
Yeah.
are actually better at camouflage.
They're way better.
They can not only change their color, but they can also change like the texture of their skin.
I'll pull up a video.
Now, let's take, please do. While you're pulling that up, let's take that strand of DNA, that genome, whatever scientific term it is, and let's evolve it. Let's give it some fucking steroids and just evolve the shit out of it a few millennia. That's totally plausible to me that species could evolve so much that aspect of their DNA can just change them. You know what I mean? Shapeshift them. I could see that evolving. Especially if they're a creature like an octopus, which doesn't have any bones. You know what I mean?
No.
So
that's what we're displaying right now. This thing is super, super intelligent. Like, the way it mimics different animals. So it knows its environment and it knows what animals there are and what the predators are. So like right now, I think it's making it look like, see how it changed like that?
Yeah.
So it made it look like sea snakes because humans are afraid of sea snakes. But now when they're traveling like this, right there, that's the comparison. The stingray. So they can actually mimic other animals.
Yeah. Super, super intelligent.
Unbelievable. That's the sea snake right there. They're so intelligent, and like you said, if you were to
And that looks almost like a lionfish.
Yep, yeah, they do lionfish. They can do
Which are very poisonous.
Yes, exactly. They can do lionfish. So many of they can do sea anemone, so to capture like fish, because you know fish swim inside. Like
Yep.
the level of intelligence, the level of camouflage. I don't know what that mimicking. Right, it's just a mimic of whatever. It's impressive. And like you said, if you were to inject that into like some DNA and somehow
just
be able
evolve
to,
it.
how
Give it
crazy would it
time
be?
to evolve. Like, it could totally turn, like, fucking morph into a small shark. You know what I mean? Like, why not? I could totally see that happening. I could totally see that.
A lot of people actually think that like an octopus is alien. I don't know like how far you want to go into that, but a lot of people do say that the octopus is
They
not
have the
of
most
this,
alien DNA, don't they?
Yeah, like it's something crazy, but there's so many creatures in the ocean that just have really bonkers like attributes. Like, isn't there like a shrimp or whatever that can see like on a color scale like 8 times more than we can? Like they can actually see colors that we can't see.
Oh yeah. Oh dude. If we're gonna go down that rabbit hole, like there's all kinds of species all over the planet that can do incredible things.
Right. So now imagine
things.
like you just start taking the best of everything. Like the funny thing you mentioned, sharks. Sharks don't get viruses. Their biology and their DNA is so simple that a virus can't even attack it. So like, what if you took like attributes of that, put it into a human? Now we don't have to worry about viruses anymore. Or if you had, you know, the octopus or a chameleon, and now we're able to blend in with our surroundings, or maybe even shapeshift, right? Or have the DNA of the shrimp and be able to see all these colors. Like, how cool would that be? Maybe they see spectrums that we can't see, and as soon as we put that DNA in us, or maybe they'll put the goggles on or whatever, however we perceive it, maybe we see the universe a little bit differently. Like maybe they could see dark matter, right?
Ooh,
something like that.
That's cool.
But I don't know. It's hard to say. Like last week we talked about Anunnaki. We couldn't get an exact depiction of the Anunnaki. Like we looked online, a lot of the stuff came back as like lizard men, which, you know what? To be honest with you, a lot of the stuff came back was either in a movie or in a video game, right? And who inspired who, we don't know, but I'm not gonna go into too much about it, about trying to show Anunnaki. But we did talk about it last week. Not into too much detail of the actual Anunnaki, but a little bit more on the Sumerian culture. But one of the cool things about, I guess, aliens in ancient history, going back to this list of, you know, UFO sightings, there's also people think that aliens or extraterrestrials walked among us, right, and kind of became our gods.
Yes.
Right.
No.
One of the cool ones that when I was looking for stuff for Sumerian, you know, I came across the I can never pronounce this guy's name. Akhenaten, I think is his name. He's an ancient Egyptian pharaoh. Akhenaten and Nefertiti. Most people recognize Nefertiti. She's the one with that kind of elongated head dress. But a lot of people start diving into some of the hieroglyphics and some of the stone tablets of that era. And I just posted one up right now depicting this one here, where it's Akhenaten and Nefertiti sitting down with what looks like to be their children. But if you actually notice, their children each have elongated heads as well.
But also, they also don't look like children. They look just like small people.
Right, but
which could be a metaphor for their children. You know what I mean? Like,
maybe, but with the elongated heads, and there's actually somebody had to put in the bellies. Look at the bellies of each of these beings on here. Maybe except for Nefertiti, because you can't really see hers. But Akhenaten and the children, you both see kind of like a bulge. So that has some type of significance, and that's what makes me think it's not human.
Yeah.
And a lot of people speculate this is these two are from the star system Sirius, where they were extraterrestrials that did visit Earth. What?
I don't want to interrupt you here, but on this note,
this
is good. If I found a pretty cool article here. It's on locklip.com. If you just
Locklip.
Never heard of it before, but I just discovered it. If you Google Locklip 6 alien species, it should come right up. It's entitled "The 6 Alien Species Currently Fighting for Control Over Earth."
Oh yeah, let's get into this.
Yeah, it's cool, and it starts number 1 with the Syrians.
Oh,
Just
really?
like you said, and it has an artist's depiction, and it makes them look relatively benevolent. You know, there's light shining from their what's, to my knowledge, supposed to be their third eye, and out of the top of their heads. And
what's interesting about the artist's
here.
depictions is they kind of gave them that like the Egyptian style.
Yeah,
eyes.
the longer head too.
Yep.
So again, credit to locklip.com. I kind of want to read a little bit of each of these races. I already wrote them down while we were talking about the other things. I just went through and kind of like skipped ahead. So we have the Syrians are number 1. Number 2 are the short grays. Number 3 are the tall grays, which is interesting to me because I have heard stories of both. And I think that in the Wikipedia that you had showed us, there was short grays, which could be mistaken for little green men. And then the tall. Anyway, moving forward.
Right. Yeah, it's standing 7 to 8 feet tall. The
Yep.
tall grades, where on the other one specified it was about 3 feet.
Yeah, 3 to 4 or something. Alpha Draconians, which I've heard a lot less about. Native Reptilians, which we discussed a few minutes ago, and then the Anunnaki, which was the last one. So while you're kind of going through that, I'd like to just read a little bit, kind of briefly through each of these to give the viewers, listeners, what you got?
The lizard guy in the suit.
Oh yeah, the picture's amazing. The picture's amazing. I saw that and got a chuckle out of it too.
So what are see again? Nobody has a description of the Anunnaki. Like even this photo right here.
Yeah.
This artist depiction. I shouldn't say a photo.
Yeah, definitely an artist's depiction.
Right. See, does it get bigger than this? I don't know if we can zoom in on it. Like it doesn't really show anything. Like this artist depiction obviously shows like a humanoid, kind of ape-like creature checking out the Anunnaki. I guess if it goes along with the story.
Well, we'll get to that in a second, but I'm actually pretty interested in the Syrians because the Syrians are, again, supposed to be relatively benevolent. So let's go. Obviously, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to try to figure out that they hail from the Sirius B star system.
Right.
They are as advanced as they are ancient. So throughout history, they have imparted their knowledge to human civilizations of their choosing. They gifted the ancient Egyptians with medical and astronomical information, and the Great Pyramids and temples are said to have been built with their help. So again, that goes back to your theory, their heads looking like the ones in the
Egyptian.
Yep. Egyptian
Akhenaten and
yep,
Nefertiti.
we're just looking at. Yep. The Mayans also had a special relationship with the Syrians, who shared information with this enigmatic South American civilization. The extraterrestrials originating from Sirius B are believed to have played part in the disappearance of the Maya. They are credited with leaving behind amazing artifacts such as the crystal skulls, which is its own link. Another early civilization.
In the I think it's Mayan. Mayan also had elongated skulls. They had a culture of elongated skulls too.
The Mayans?
Yeah.
Yeah. The one where the guy's sitting in that strange
a rocket chair.
Looks like a rocket chair. He has an elongated skull in that, doesn't he? Or he's wearing something that makes it look like he is.
I can find that.
So while you're looking for that, this kind of gets cool. Another early civilization that benefited from the Syrian presence were the Atlanteans. It is believed that during the cataclysmic event that sunk Atlantis, the Syrians were instrumental in leading the rescue operation. Other civilizations have been influenced by the Syrians, the most notable case being that of the Dogon tribe of West Africa.
Yeah, the Dogons.
Pretty cool.
Which I think the Dogons also had, maybe not elongated skulls, but they definitely had, I think, a unique headdress.
They are often mentioned in connection with covert or exotic weapons research as well as time travel experimentation. Cool.
This is what you were talking about for the Mayan Rocket Man thing? Was this crazy?
Yes. And he has that weird thing on the back of his head, which almost... And there's an actual stone that this is carved into. This is...
Yeah. This is a
drawing,
the drawing of the stone. Like I don't know, it might be one of these here. It's hard to see. Yeah, it's hard to see in the stone what it actually is. I chose this
when
image.
It's not totally illuminated, right?
Yes. And it was, it's Mayan, so it definitely has Mayan features to it. But like you can even see like the details of these pictures here. Like that almost looks like he's operating some type of like a pedal or like even a clutch.
Yeah.
Like on like a motorcycle or something like that. There's the headdress or the elongated head. Right, and even the funny thing too is that actually, if you look at the kind of like the tassels that kind of go down and then out towards the right, it's almost like it's waving in the wind, right? It's like it's almost like it should be moving, and that's what a lot of people think. So the actual stone of this is actually oriented 90 degrees clockwise. So this is actually laid down to kind of show you the rocket side of it more, going from right to left, like shooting from right to left. But the actual stone itself is actually 90 degrees clockwise, so it would actually be pointing up. The rocket would be going up, like a spaceship, right?
Yeah, this is cool. But let's move forward with just because I feel like a lot of the listeners might not have any information on some of these alien races, and Lachlan kind of did the work for us. The short grays, known as the Zeta Reticulums, the Greys are some of the most well-known aliens. We know that. We already talked about that.
Yeah, it's the Hollywood alien.
Depicted through pop culture. They stand about 3 to 5 feet tall, bulbous heads, oversized black eyes. They don't really speak, though they do
communicate.
Have mouths, essentially.
But they communicate via
telepathically. Yeah, and it actually says that. Pretty cool. The short grays are said to be genetically engineered worker race that are controlled by their superiors, the tall grays.
Really?
Yes. Cool. This is cool.
So
the
tall
telepathic
grays
abilities allow them to constitute a type of hive mind consciousness.
Wow.
Like ants.
Like ants, for sure, yeah.
Yep. Okay, they're also... being genetically designed to carry out scientific missions, the short grays are emotionless and cruel. So,
emotionless
which I want to touch upon real quick. Because if you have a hive mind, there is no emotion attached. If someone
it's
dies...
for the best of the hive. Or the best
if something dies, you move forward regardless. You keep the hive in mind.
Yep.
And emotionless and cruel, like... It's hard to call an ant cruel. You know what I mean? Because it's essentially a genetic robot. It's doing exactly what it knows what it needs to do.
We have the term worker ants.
Exactly. So
they're slaves to the queen.
It's not cruel to them.
No.
And if you really try to remove yourself from your emotional state, which is hard to do as a human being, it isn't cruel. It's just there's a goal in mind. This is what's going to happen. It doesn't matter if you die or don't.
According to that article, then, the short grays and tall grays, are they the same species or from the same location? Or, like, how does that...
No. According to the article, the tall grays made the short grays for scientific missions. Maybe to mine gold, whatever.
What if they made them short enough to put them into smaller spaces so they can fly faster through space or get out whatever planet?
Totally plausible.
Right? Because that's one of our biggest challenges. But is weight, trying to get out of the gravity.
This is the best part of this.
Oh boy.
The end of this quick little description on the short grays, it says, the short grays are also responsible for creating a human-gray hybrid race.
Human-gray hybrid race.
Kinda cool. And my iPad is not working.
So then, who are the tall grays then?
I'm trying to get to the next page here, but...
Yeah, unfortunately, Lock Lip or whatever it was puts it on multiple pages.
Okay, tall grays. So the tall grays stand 7 to 8 feet tall, hairless and pale. The Gray Masters are the ambassadors of most meetings between human and alien forces. Cool. They represent both human and gray biological material combined. Alright, and therefore play a lead role in assisting the short grays with interacting with humanity.
Do you think whoever wrote this article on Loplik or whatever, wherever they got this shit, Lock Lip?
Yeah.
Wherever they got this stuff from, do you think they're just like writing, they're just like smiling away, kind of like, I'm just making this shit up, just let it rip, just like, let me go on.
I honestly don't, because I've read...
Yeah, but
way more.
Who has this information?
That backs that, like, this pretty much already says this. This is just condensing everything.
Yeah, this is detailed stuff though. Like you're saying
it's detailed with specifics though.
Right.
Like
but they made a small race. Like I see the logic behind it, but I don't know. Like if they had the technology, why wouldn't they just go out themselves? Like, because to think about it this way, right? We send robots, drones to Mars, right? But if you were to send a human to Mars, you'll gain probably 10 times as much data in 1 minute than the entire time the Curiosity has been out there. Just because you have a person to experience it, and that experience is so much different.
The human experience is
right.
better. Yeah.
What you're saying is if they have a hive mind mentality, they could experience it through the
little guys.
The little guys.
Exactly. Yeah. So they don't need to. So that's smart.
They're biological drones.
Yeah, that's smart to me. Like, we don't need to do it. Let's just send these little things, and we can basically see through their eyes. Like,
it's really, really cool.
This species is involved in many genetic experiments, and there have now been a hybrid human gray race created containing mind control and diplomatic agreements with the shadow government, to which they represent. Sources claim they originate from a star system in the Orion constellation. Kind of cool because the shadow government, if you guys can do your own research on this guy real quick, Phil Schneider was a military-operated or U.S.-operated geologist who helped design and build a lot of the DUMBs, the deep underground military bases. And he has a lot of disclosure videos where he's talking about some out there stuff, and it gets pretty cool. And he mentions the shadow government, and he mentions these gray aliens, and he has very strange scars on his hand that make it look like something just melted right through, like if his hand was like this and it just melted right through him, and it's amazing. Look it up, just check it out. So grays, cool. we know a little bit about them. I'm curious about the ones I don't know much about, like the Alpha Draconians. Alpha Draconis is, again, another star system, I believe.
Alpha Centauri.
Alpha Centauri, isn't Draconis a star system?
Maybe, I'm not sure.
I'm sure it is. There's so many.
This is what the depiction is, the artist depiction?
Yeah, which from the
movie?
first sentence, it's gotta be.
Yeah, that looks so fake.
Which is perfect with the first sentence that they have. Corrupt and vicious, the Alpha Draconians infiltrated human society thousands of years ago and are the oldest known reptilian race in our galaxy. Although they came to Earth for their colonies on Alpha Draconis, their original homeworld is unknown. They lay eggs to use a battle hormone to accelerate the birthing process.
What?
They are duality. That's weird. Oh, they are duality. This is why ancestral females do not participate in war, because if they did, there wouldn't be anybody there to help with the eggs. They also have to be there to secrete their hormone. I am only sharing with you what I know about them through years of research.
Come on.
Okay, so this is one guy. Okay, this
is that's what I'm saying.
Stranger. I'm going to finish it for the sake of
might as well.
Fun. A decidedly giant reptilian species. They measure anywhere from 14 to 22 feet tall.
22, so it's like a little fucking Godzilla.
Yeah, and weigh an estimated 1,800 pounds of mostly muscle. They can be compared to a Tyrannosaurus Rex. These Alpha Draconians have black leathery brown scale bellies, whiskers along their chin and jawline, and have multiple abdomens. They are an intelligent race with large heads and reptilian eyes. Some accounts describe them as having tails over their wings. In fact, the only
they have wings?
Well, dude, this would make sense to all the Asian lore that we were talking about and dragons and
stuff. That
is
true, yeah. 22 feet. That'd be a big dragon in the sky.
Contactee. Ooh, Contactee, Alex Collier. Let's write that down. We might have to make this into 2 episodes.
We'll keep going. We don't really have a limit.
Alex Collier?
Who's Alex Collier?
He's apparently a contactee. Says he was allowed to share some details about these extraterrestrials. Here's a quote from him. The Draconians are the force behind the repression of human populations everywhere in this galaxy, instilling fear-based belief systems and restrictive hierarchies. They're extremely clairvoyant and extremely clever, and they can also be extremely sinister. Interesting, Alex. The Draconians view themselves as the first intelligent species to evolve in the Milky Way galaxy. Interesting. Competitive and expansive, they have populated many worlds. Their immense egos, which is
right. That's what we kind of discussed about earlier. Yeah.
Yep. Allows them to see themselves as the rightful rulers of lesser evolved worlds such as Earth. Their continuous exploitation of the human race proves they consider us inferior species. Two types of Alpha Draconians divided into two castes. The giant ones are part of the royal caste called the Chiakar, while the smaller ones, 8 feet tall, form a well-trained warrior class.
Wait a minute, so the small ones are the warriors and the large ones are like...
Oh, like the praetors or whatever, like the rulers.
Huh.
The royalty.
Right.
Moving on, number 5, the native reptilians. Okay, well, everything that we just read about the Alpha Draconians is kind of what I thought the reptilians...
Yeah, and when you mentioned the Asian cultures with the dragons, like...
Yeah.
This is like the dragon you were talking about, like
oh yeah,
the
there's all
mythological
kinds. There's
right.
all kinds of them. Yeah.
And what's funny about it is that now that I'm thinking about it, you always see them with like their elbows and their like kind of knees area. It always has some type of like fur or like a wing or like a tail or something like that, right? And some of them do have wings, and some of them do have like long, like multiple tails that kind of split off too. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
I've never really heard of that. Alpha Draconians.
Plenty to research here.
And we got to find that guy. We got to find that guy. Is he still
Alex
alive?
Collier?
Yeah.
I don't know. Didn't say much about him.
We got to get him on. That'd be awesome.
Get him on the show?
Yeah.
So, native reptilians, the lizards dressed up in suits.
Oh my god, yeah.
Often confused with the warrior caste of the Alpha Draconians. Okay, this is making a little more sense. These reptilians are said to be native to Earth.
What?
Typically, reptilians are described as to being 6 to 8 feet tall, bipedal,
yeah.
Bipedal, with green, scaly skin, body odor, and large eyes with a vertical pupil.
I still can't get over this picture.
Yeah, it's pretty great. That's a new computer background for sure.
Oh, it's great.
The little information available for this species states that they were originally left behind by the Alpha Draconians to colonize Earth. Their interaction with mankind goes back thousands of years, sometimes offering assistance, but more often than not using us as a commodity that infiltrated almost all aspects of human life and hold positions of power. This is where it gets interesting.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on this, but I'm pretty sure like part of Scientology talks about this.
Talks about this?
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe I'm a Scientologist.
It might not be exactly this, but they do have some type of like lizard man.
Self-ranging peoples all over the world have described reptilian beings acting hostile towards human beings. Common reptilians manipulate our elites and rule our institutions and organizations. They built our current financial system and influence all religions. I could see that. The underground reptilian race is also said to control the media and all corporations. They are behind most crimes against humanity. And, moving right on to the last one, which we are big fans of, the Anunnaki. You want to take this one? Are you on that site anymore?
No, I'm not. You
All
can
right.
go for it.
I'll keep going here.
I'll put that picture up for you though.
So, according to scientists, there's a 12th planet on our solar system. Oh, bam! Back to Nibiru.
Yeah, which was in the last episode last week. We talked about Nibiru in detail, specifically just Nibiru, not too much on the Anunnaki themselves.
So they go on to say they refer to this planet as Nibiru, located somewhere beyond Pluto. This planet, unlike any other planet in our solar system, has a large elliptical orbit. We already went through all this. This planet is inhabited by the Anunnaki, according to this.
Right.
Okay. Which is kind of... We were trying to figure that out last time. Like, do they come from Nibiru, or do they use Nibiru as a vessel, or whatever?
Yeah, because we speculated, because a lot of the Sumerian texts talked about them coming from a nearby star, right? From Orion, I think, right?
Yeah.
Who else was from Orion? Was the...
Syrians?
No, Syrians are from Sirius.
No, the Pleiadians, I thought, were. Because that's where the Pleiades are. In Orion, I thought.
Is it Orion? I have no... We should really study up on some constellations.
Well, it's not even... There's so much information.
I know, right? Who can keep track of all this?
So, Nibiru is inhabited by the Anunnaki, who landed on Earth and originally colonized it. Which is contradictory to what they said about the reptilians.
Exactly. Yeah. That's hilarious. Yeah.
They first came with the intention of mining Earth for gold and other minerals, which we've talked about, and live a kind of idealistic society in a small colony. Before heading to Earth, the Anunnaki colonized other planets in the Orion star system.
All right, so maybe they went to Orion first and then came here or something like that. But yeah, it's funny. Like, if just for a second, imagine it was all true, right? You had the lizards in the suits, right, left behind by the big lizards to colonize Earth. What if they were there, meaning like the dinosaurs or something like that, right?
I've thought about this before, man.
Anunnaki comes in, says, whoa, 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 you guys are messed up, you're destroying the Earth, whatever, wipes them out, like, just boom, drops a grenade on them, right? Wipes out the dinosaurs. It's like, shit, we just nuked the shit out of Earth, we gotta wait, a couple million years until it calms down. Calms down, they come back in, repopulate the Earth, a couple of million years ago with Anunnaki. Why not?
Sounds plausible to me. Man, I've thought about that. Like, what if the dinosaurs weren't stupid? And that's just what we're told. Did you ever see the documentary about the Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton that was dug up in, like, Montana or something? And
no, not
it was in the past, like, 40 years, I want to say. Like, it was relatively recently.
Yeah.
And, like, these, like, archaeologists were ecstatic, like, oh my god, and they had a name for it. I can't remember. Let's just call it Bessie for now, for shits and giggles. And they're like, Bessie is the largest intact, like, Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton we've ever come across.
Oh wow!
But the government came in and were like, no, this is going in a museum. Like, you're not keeping it here, like, in your local whatever. Like, we're taking it, like, and there was this whole like there was like violence involved, like
really?
Yeah, it was a cool documentary. I watched it a couple years ago, I think, at a friend's house, and
is it the one at the Smithsonian?
Maybe, but my crazy mind was just like, what if the government wants to take it? Because if these people start studying the DNA of this, they'll find out something that they don't want them to find out. I don't know. I just my brain went.
Well, now they're
saying
that dinosaurs had feathers.
Oh, fucking yeah! Look at an ostrich. That thing's a goddamn dinosaur.
Well, yeah, the theory. A lot more people are coming around to the theory that the dinosaurs didn't all die out; they just evolved into birds, what they are now. Well, yeah. A lot of them did die, and then the small ones that were there kind of lived and eventually evolved to birds, which kind of makes sense.
Well, evolution often takes separate paths.
Yes.
So maybe some of them evolved into birds, some of them evolved into crocodiles, or.
Well, yeah, but like the land animals would be the. Well, crocodiles are actually still weird when the dinosaurs were around. It was actually crocodiles.
Okay, I had a question here that I had wrote down about the Anunnaki that was like, are they a race or are they some sort of division of an alien race? And if we're going to go by this locklip.com article, this is stating that
this is not
an actual race.
This is not facts for anyone that's just tuning in or skipped around a bit.
I will say it does.
It's detailed and
provide
it's fun.
A concise, depiction of each of the races, and it's relatively accurate, but it's contradicting itself here at a few places. Like, first the Anunnaki made mankind. I mean, first the Alpha Draconians worker class made mankind. Now the Anunnaki made mankind.
We're just a fucking cum dumpster at this point.
Yeah, right.
Mixed with DNA.
Essentially, yeah.
That was a bad analogy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, cool. That kind of gets to the end of the list about our lists of alien races. But before we started the show, I mean, we stumbled upon a few websites that had like freaking 40 different alien races. One of them was Jawas.
From Star Wars? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, come on,
dude. Like, Jawas are an alien race. And again, there's a part of me that wants to go, how the fuck do I know?
Yeah.
Maybe they are.
But what's also interesting about this, too, is a lot of this stuff also, like, except for, well, no, because even the Anunnaki even came from a different star system. So none of these actually are from our own solar system.
No, I don't believe so at all. I can totally see there not being any other life in our solar system. Totally. Because the Earth kind of lies within that perfect, like... orbit, for life.
Subscribe to that, but there are places like Europa where there is water there, but in a different way.
Yeah.
Well, there's ice there, but there's also like liquid like methane that heats up the ice, which therefore creates some type of water. But they do think there actually could be microorganisms in there, which is not intelligent life, but it is life.
Well, it's also, I mean, Europa, ice, covered in ice, whatever, but it's a form of water. Like, the closer you get to a planet's, or even a moon's core, the hotter it is.
Yeah, you get thermal.
Yeah, so who's to say that, we've gone over some information that's stated that some of these alien races are subterranean. So,
yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
Hell, they could be underground. It's probably warmer.
And I also believe that Europa is affected by the planet's gravity. So the gravity itself actually kind of like tugs and pulls, kind of ebb and flow of whatever the core is, or maybe even just the water inside, creating heat in there too, to keep it warm.
There you go.
So we just got to send a little bit more probes out there. But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, we're definitely getting to the tail end of, our standard time here.
Well, we're well over. We're at
we're
120
well
at this point.
A couple things I just want to touch upon real quick on the alien races thing, because this is really where I can't say expertise, but my interest lies. I mean, Sean's a lot better about the science and facts. I just like the weird, cool shit. So, real quick, I want to mention a cool book. Nothing in this book is true, but it's exactly how things are. The author is Bob Frizzell, or Frizzell, however you would pronounce it. I watched it. I read this years ago. It's a great book. Has all kinds of information from alien races to chakras and energy, and something very cool called the Merkaba, which is directly related to your chakras and your energy and your consciousness. This book states that the most powerful races of alien in the universe, or the multiverse, use this Merkaba and their consciousness and their energy as their main source of technology, instead of an outer source like a machine or a robot or something.
Right, and this is like it's kind of like a vessel per se, right?
Correct. So this is actually a perfect picture, because in right up the spine of the body is where your chakra points lie, and if each one of your points in your body is theoretically vibrating at a specific frequency, you raise your consciousness, or I don't know, magic things would happen.
Magic.
I don't know the details because I'm not on that level.
No, but this picture is actually really cool, and I wonder, this is on SamuelFerrin.com. I wonder if there's a 3D model of this, because this does look like it's computer generated.
Yes, it does.
With math, maybe even.
But it also looks like it's meant to depict the flow of energy coming out of a being.
That's why I'd be interested to see if this is actually a 3D animation, and I don't know. We'll see if we can find that.
But pretty cool. And it gets into the ego, and the opposite of ego, which I believe is the ID or something like that, id versus ego, and how some species evolve into their egos too much, and some species evolve into their id, which is essentially the feminine side of your brain and your mind, like feminine mind, as opposed to male mind, which is more towards machines, etc., etc. And my iPad is dead. Oh, no, just shut off.
You know what, though? I'm on Samuel's website right now. Give him a little shout-out. This is what the website looks like. Essentially, he's just an artist. Oop, a little pop-up there. Essentially, he's just an artist that is pretty much interested in the same stuff, but he does sell a couple like hoodies and things like that. Pretty cool looking. Like, crazy, just like the image that we just showed you.
Oh, wow.
So
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, just want to give a shout-out. Like, a bunch of stuff here.
I might have to get me some of those.
Even, like, look at the art prints. Like,
dude, prints?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll definitely mess with some of these.
So Samuel is probably going to get
Samuel.
a few more fans. There's a lot of cool stuff on here. So I don't like stealing images. I like to give people credit.
Totally.
But that was definitely by far the best image to depict what you were talking about, where it is something where it lines up with the chakras, emits an energy, and it's a type of vessel that allows you to... Well, does it allow you to move through the universe or dimensionally?
I think it's dimensional.
Dimensionally, right?
Not like physically, like, whoa, I'm flying. You know what I mean? But like,
It's more.
It's more based on energy. Like, and
right.
we all know there's electricity flowing through your body, which is an energy.
Yes.
So I mean, if we're vibrating at a certain frequency, that emits an energy.
Yes.
You know, just in the same way that if I hold a blowhorn, that's a frequency.
Yep.
But you can fucking feel that. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, ah.
Or even just like bass from a loudspeaker.
Exactly.
Like
That's a better example. Like a subwoofer.
You can feel it in your chest and
if you put, we're kind of going a little off track here, but if you put something on top of a subwoofer and keep it at a constant like boom, it'll sit there and vibrate so much that it might look like it's barely hovering.
Yes.
Right on the thing. So again, enhance that.
Well, I want to find that because there are examples of, like you were saying with the subwoofer, if you were to put something on it. So this is just paint on a subwoofer in bullet time, mind you. Produced by Ben Green. So I'll see if I can fast forward this a tad.
Wow.
That is a lot of cameras. Oh, man. All right. So that's what you were saying. So they're actually doing, it's 360 right now, but this is what he's saying. It's the energy being transferred, right? Because nothing's pushing that subwoofer other than sound, other than the frequency of sound. And this is a visualization of, that's really cool. The visualization of the actual, the sound, the waves going through and becoming.
Cymatics is also a good example of it. When you put like sand or salt on a vibrating plate, and it creates
you can make an image.
Shapes.
That
on the
is
frequency.
super cool. I gotta show my kids that. That's actually a really cool.
So
thing.
cool. It's so cool. And the higher it gets, eventually it just looks like swirling like galaxies.
Yeah, but it's like a spirograph. Remember that stupid thing?
Yeah, love
them. It's like spirograph, but in real life.
One of those at a bar recently.
Yeah, really. But yeah, Sam, awesome art. You're probably gonna get a couple sales from at least two guys.
Two of us, yeah.
But yeah, Merkaba. That's an exact depiction of what it is.
It's
should
supposed
be
to represent.
Yeah, and
look it up. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Gets into chakras and yoga and again meditating and consciousness and stuff.
And that could be our next show.
Yeah, there's actually a few things that we didn't touch upon, like types of civilizations. We got plenty more to talk about, guys. We'll try to link up the rest of this and kind of segue into another topic in the next show.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're heading upon an hour and a half now, so
good for us.
If you guys have any questions, hit us up down in the notifications. If you have any topics that you want to for us to discuss, or just even send us some information, maybe stuff that we got incorrect, or missed. Just let us know. We're trying to
share information with people, so if you can help us do that, that'd be great.
Like, we're trying to become this.
We're not professors on this, like
no, absolutely not. And the fact is, there is no concrete information on this, right? It's either
you can't have it.
No, it's either something that we're not privileged to have, or it's something that it's got so muddled with misinformation that the actual information is missing. But we're trying to become, or not become, or trying to be part of the network that is trying to have people think beyond themselves.
Wake up, essentially, like,
it's the bigger picture podcast, right?
There we go.
We're trying to get you to look at the bigger picture, and this picture is vast.
Yeah,
it is vast.
Bigger,
beyond,
like universe bigger.
Beyond that, we could even imagine, and we're trying to get there, and we're trying to have you guys come along with us too. So if there's anything that you or anyone put in the comments, we'll take a look at it, we'll discuss, we'll decipher, see what makes sense for an episode. Maybe we'll do a quick Q&A episode somewhere in the future if we get enough questions. That'd be pretty cool.
We can do that. I'm down.
Yeah.
And yeah, shoot us a comment, maybe as an email on the YouTube or anything.
You can send any emails to info@ZFGeneration.com. I haven't set up an email directly for the Bigger Picture podcast. You can also send it to zfgeneration@gmail.com if you don't want to go through our channel. We do have a Gmail. Also, on our blog, which is zfgeneration.com, you can hit us up on there. A lot of the stuff that we discuss in the podcast ends up being on the blog as well. There's also a lot more stuff that I've written months and months and months ago that actually pertains to some of this stuff right here And there's actually a pretty cool, not to do with alien races, but more or less to do with kind of dimensions and the Merkaba and things like that. I did write something about my first awakening, and it's a cool article. Check that out.
Yeah, we didn't really get to your personal experiences.
Yeah, well, maybe
Next
another time. Yeah. My personal experience for this episode might have been just a SETI. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, that's fair.
And for people that are interested in SETI, SETI at home at, I think it's SETI.berkeley. Let me make sure I get this right. SETIathome.berkeley.edu. You can check that out there. Awesome website. Even if you're not interested in downloading and helping out with SETI at home, check out their stuff. They do have a lot of cool things on there. The SETI Institute also has their own blog. There's a lot of awesome articles on there that you could read pertaining to intelligent life that is out there. Not all of it is obviously breaking news. It's a lot of older news kind of rehashed and kind of retold in other people's stories. But cool place to check out either way. But I don't know. Anything else you have to add?
No, I think it's going to do it, man. I mean, hopefully we didn't bore you too long with this extra long episode. We'll try to keep it a little more concise next time.
All right.
See you guys next time.
Peace out.
There's a lot we didn't get to.
What's that?
There's a bunch we didn't get to.
Still got more episodes, right?
Yeah, man, I think that went cool. I mean, it